what is your advice on worming your horse? I typically worm every 6 months with different pastes. What do you suggest? And I was going to say, I will settle in because I know this is going to be a good one.
This might be my favorite topic. If not, it's the second favorite. It's very close. We spend a lot of time talking about this because the parasite control, the paradigm, there's been a paradigm shift. Ooh, I know. I love when I can say that. The advice we were given 50 years ago, before I was born even, I love it, I can also say that, was to rotate dewormers every 2 months or so because the dewormers we had didn't get all of the species of worms the horses had. That doesn't exist, that's not true anymore. Plus we have the added problem of resistance in the parasites. So now the thinking has turned around dramatically and more people are getting on board, which is a good thing, that you need to do the fecal egg per gram counts. So you need to find out how many eggs, parasite worm eggs, your horse is shedding. This doesn't tell you, contrary to what people think, how many worms your horse had.
Okay.
There's not good correlation. What it tells you is if your horse is a high shedder or a low shedder, which means how much is he putting out, is he contaminating the environment.
Oh, so it's more about looking forward rather than a current check.
Yeah, and then if you have a low shedder, you might only need to deworm that horse once, twice a year. But a high shedder needs dewormed more frequently so that he's not pooping out worms and making the environment full and then reinfesting themselves.
Okay,
so people think it's hard, but it's not actually. It's do the fecal and then figure out what frequency your horse needs. And of course, this all comes with your veterinarians because every location is a little bit different in the country. So it's pretty simple.
When you talk about that people used to rotate dewormers, what does that mean? Are they just like switching brands, or when you talk about rotation?
Classes. Some people switch brands, but what's important is switching chemical classes.
Okay.
So we go from like a benzimidazole, like a fenbendazole, and then to a parental pamoate, and then to an ivermectin or moxidectin. And people will get into this rotation of like every other month. You don't have to do that anymore. Because of the resistance, some of the chemical classes don't work anymore. Like, not that they don't work as well, they flat out don't work, period. So it's like giving your horse a tube of water or some sort of...
Except he enjoys it much less.
Oh, much less. Yeah, so, a friend of mine said, you don't get points for going through the motions. You have to use something that works, and the way you know it works is by doing fecals and working with your vet.